Welcome to USA Hockey Sled Hockey Basics. One of the things that we've found as we've traveled around the country is that we hear many of the same questions about sled hockey over and over again. And we decided that putting together this video would help a lot of our new programs as well as some of our established programs that may have questions about the sport. So we've included everything in this video from skills, where passing, shooting, skating, to also include drills, and to show you that basically this is the sport of hockey. It's really not a whole lot different than stand-up hockey. So we've included some of those drills that may be able to help some of you coaches out there that had questions about drills. We've also included equipment. Obviously that is probably the biggest difference in our sport is the equipment, the sleds. The goalie equipment is obviously different, so we've included that as well. Along with that, a few of the different rules, and I guess the most important part that we'd like you all to know is that it is the game of hockey. Have fun, get the kids out there playing, and most important, try to get out to some tournaments. Get your kids out there involved in tournaments and enjoying the sport in that way, and I think you'll see your program flourish. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about equipment, and for the most part, our sled hockey players use the same equipment as you would use in stand-up hockey. One of the differences we have, and we strongly suggest using a boot, a hockey boot, where we drill out the rivets on the blade, remove the blade, and use a hockey boot to protect the foot of the feet of the players. Along with that, obviously, we use shin guards, the chest protector, gloves, obviously the hockey gloves, and the neck guard's very important, we feel, in sled hockey because of the picks on the ends of the sticks are very sharp. So we strongly recommend that all our players are using neck guards because of the picks and the sticks that are being used out on the ice. The other thing that we see in sled hockey that's probably a little bit different is the hockey pants that stand-up hockey players use. In our buckets, a lot of times they may be too bulky, so we suggest a lighter pant. There's a lot of pants out there with a lighter type of pants with the shells in them. So the lighter the pants, the better, but you still want protection, but the bulky, heavy hockey pants probably don't work as well in our sleds. Obviously, we do have the elbow pads, again, protection. Mouth guard, we strongly also suggest a mouth guard for all our players. Helmet's obviously very important. We want it to fit properly, snug but not too tight. With sled hockey, most of our guys are using the cage. Obviously, they're down on the ice, so they have to have full protection. They're lower to the ice. They have a tendency to catch a puck a little more often than stand-up hockey players do. So obviously very important with that. So most of our guys are using cages, but obviously they need a full frontal protection on their helmets.
All right, what we'd like to do now is tell you a little bit more about the equipment. Obviously, the sled and the equipment with the sled is unique, quite a bit different. So we're going to start with the anatomy, I guess, of a sled. And there's two poles usually with the sled, side rails, the nose piece. Nowadays, what we're using is a nose piece with a nose guard, or a foot guard that protects the feet. This is a skag, goes on the front, and what the skag does is really just there for balance. In case the player gets hit, it'll take the hit and go down and come back up. So that's the skag. Also the blade holder, that's the blade holder. The blades, these blades can be sharpened and should be sharpened on a regular basis, just like a hockey skate. Most of the time these can be done in a pro shop, and those are the blades. Also for the straps, we use different types of straps. We have ankle straps, which can be anything from a luggage strap to bungee cords. We also have the straps for the feet and also for the waist itself. Along with that, we have what we call a riser. Some of our sleds, with this riser, it will allow the sled to raise up and down and give you a little more height if you would like. So it's called a riser, and some of our sleds use those as well. I thought it would be fun to give you a little idea of the history of the sport. This is an original stick from a program, one of the oldest programs around. It's about 16 years old with the old pick, and pretty interesting to see how we've progressed with that. These picks obviously were not real well, and they worked, but we've certainly come a long way. This is about 8 generations ago, this pick. So, and that's the stick. The sled was, they were made of steel and pretty heavy. This is probably about 35, 40 pounds. We used a piece of plywood on the back and underneath, and basically we just took hockey skates, removed the blades, and bolted them on the bottom of the sled. Again, very heavy. The skag was actually always on the ice, so there never really was any balance. And of course, we didn't have any flexibility in moving. The blades always stayed out and weren't able to adjust. And we also used the old car seatbelt. The next sled is about, somewhere around 8 years old. Skag, side poles. This one was one of the first where we were actually able to adjust, move them in, move them back. Basically, all we do is undo the bolts, and there's a little groove in here that allows them to slide back and forth, and then also there's a groove in here and allows them to slide in and out. And then also we can turn them so that we could actually get them very close. We just flip them around the opposite way, and you can almost bring them right close together. So. Again, we used car seatbelt and a little bit of padding. I think one of the biggest innovations at this point with this sled was that we got into a more flexible bucket and fitted the player much better than the old style where they just sat there loose. So that was the beginning of that technology. Then we go into what we call our rink sled, and those are what we're really suggesting for new programs nowadays. The nice part about this is, and this manufacturer, is that it's completely adjustable. We actually undo this. It allows the blade assembly to slide up and down. We undo the bolts, and these will actually go in and out, so we can move them in and out quickly. Depending on where the player is as far as his development. So it's very easy to quickly move these out and in by loosening the bolts, and then also moving back and forth for balance depending on the player and who's on the ice. The length also is adjustable on these sleds, and basically all we do is we remove the pins, and we're able to slide back and forth the sled itself. So when we just put the pins in, there's different holes in the sled that allows us to lengthen, and again, adjustable depending on how tall of an athlete we have. So those are adjustable as well. Nice, really a nice thing to have for the new program, something we strongly suggest if you're going to have some sleds in your program to look at the rink sleds. The next one's also another rink sled, adjustable front and back. These loosen up, these can slide back and forth. The blades themselves aren't adjustable this way. You can adjust them front and back, but these you have to remove, and then you just have a longer or a shorter spacer to adjust the blades. Again, the bucket is a flexible bucket. One of the things I wanted to point out also is the straps and the progression of straps. And this is pretty important. I think we're seeing progression with just like a hockey skate, we want the player to fit tight and snug into the sled. So as we progress, you've seen the car seat belt. In this case, these are probably a few years old, and it's a strap, and we pull them tight and hold the player in that way. The only thing with these is sometimes they have a tendency to loosen up as the player's on the ice. So they are good, they work well, but now we've gotten into this type, and this is a ratchet strap. And the nice thing about these is that once you're in, they don't move. So this is the latest, and something if you're looking to do a strap, we suggest these ones now with the ratchets. They don't slip, they don't loosen up, and they work really, really well. So we're looking more towards these as the strap of today. These sleds that we're showing you, you can find the vendor on usahockey.com and take a look at the different sleds and find the one that fits your program the best. But the rink sleds, being that they're adjustable, we strongly suggest that you look at that for your program. It allows the flexibility, the adjustability for the different players that are coming into your program. The next one is just the frame. This one is a one-piece, so they aren't replaceable. These poles on these units, you can pull the nose piece out and replace them. In this case, it's a one-piece, but the blade assembly will move back and forth. Same thing here, you have to have a different spacer as far as how narrow and how wide they are. So that's the way this one's put together. The next sled is a sled that's high level. It's actually used by one of our Paralympians. As you can see, the width of the blades are very close. When we start out a player, we like to have them in a wider sled. So the width of the blades is much wider. It gives them a solid base. They won't tip over or fall as easy. So it allows them to learn the sport a little bit better, be able to go out without tipping and falling and getting a little frustrated that way. So we start them with a wider base, and then as they progress, we like to move them in on as they go along. We move them in a little bit at a time, and before you know it, they're closer together. It's much easier to maneuver the sled around when they're closer. So we like to encourage the player to move those blades in a little bit at a time as they get better and better, and it'll allow them to be have much more maneuverability on the ice. One of the other sleds that I wanted you to see is that we also have a what we call roller sled. This is a sled that you could use in your driveway or other places, and when you don't have the ice, and we have a caster, we have a swivel caster on the back, a swivel caster on the front, and we have two stationaries, and a player can go out and do it in his driveway and practice playing sled hockey, or during the summer he doesn't need the ice, he can go out and practice his skills out there. So we wanted to show you that roller sled.
Well, we're going to talk about our buckets. They are obviously a very important part of our sled. The bucket really should be fit to the player. They should fit like a glove. They should fit like a skate. So it's very important for the player to feel comfortable, not be too loose in the bucket. That allows them to move around, and the stability of the sled is compromised by them being loose. And so we like to have them fit very well in the sled. The bucket itself obviously depends on the player, also the disability. For many of our players, this type of bucket works very well. They fit in, it comes up to their hips. The nice thing about these buckets is we can trim them, and a lot of our players do trim these buckets to their likeness. Some of our players have hip flexibility, so you may want to trim a little more off so that they have the movement of the hips in the bucket to be able to move a little little bit more with their hips and allow them to use their hips. Some of our players don't have that hip flexibility and need a little more support, so it'll be a little bit higher, and you won't have to trim so much. But each individual player can trim those buckets as to their liking and their comfort. Padding obviously is important as well, having the padding to protect a player and help with pressure sores and that type of thing. Again, different types of buckets, different materials. This is another type of bucket, again molded, fit to the player, and fitting again like a skate. So they want to be tight with the bucket itself. Different straps. I know we've talked about straps already. As a player has more higher level of a disability, we also have sleds or buckets that we have that have a higher back. So the higher the back obviously will give them more stability. If the level of paralysis is much higher, gives them much more stability and gives them support with the bucket being higher. Also with this, we can also use straps higher up on the chest so that it gives them the stability, they're not falling forward. So obviously we want the player to be comfortable, but also be stable in the bucket. So for those higher level players, we can give them more support with different straps and strapping with this type of bucket. There's also, excuse me, there's also, we have things that will actually come over top of the middle of the body, so that things are, you're protected that way. So we have those. The higher level players, we have seen going to orthotics or prosthesis, someone that works with prosthesis, where we can actually mold the buckets to the player. It is molded for their body, just like you would a brace or anything else. So those higher level players now have the ability with prosthetics, but we can do the same thing with a bucket, mold them, have them fit, it's fit exactly to their body. And so that's another type of bucket that's out there, obviously a little more expensive, but for the high level players, we're finding more and more players are going to this molded bucket, fit exactly to their body. So when we measure someone for a bucket, what we want to do is we want to measure from the hips, both sides of their hips, even laying a book on each side of them, and then he gets up and then we can measure that distance so that we get the hip measurement for the bucket. It's very important to have that size so it's fitting him correctly. Also what we do is we measure for the sled. We measure from the wall to the end of his feet. Now Mike likes to have his knees bent a little bit in his sled, so we would measure from the wall to the end of his foot so that we have the proper length. And then also for the heel, the manufacturers like to have the width of the heel. So we measure the width of Mike's feet from side to side, from this side of his foot to this side of his foot. So we have that measurement for the width of his feet. So you have length, feet, and hip, measuring hip to hip. The other important thing is the balance of the sled, and that really comes down to what we want is the skag, which again is the white part of the sled. We want that to sit on the ice, but not hit the ice. So when a player's in a sled, the skag should be up in the air and perfectly balanced. If it's hitting the ice like this, and the player's going on the ice and it's constantly catching the ice, of course there's resistance and he's losing speed that way. So what we want to do in that case is we move the blades forward. So the blades would come forward and it allows the sled to come up. If we go too far, the sled will tilt backwards. And if you're seeing that where a player, an athlete's constantly tilting backwards, then the blades are too far forward. They have to go back. So we move the blade system back in order to balance. So what we want is a perfectly balanced sled, that skag not hitting the ice, but also
not having a player. So forward will allow the sled to come back if you're catching the skag. Back will bring the sled forward and allow the skag to come down so that the player's not tilting backwards. I just want to explain quickly about a riser and what that is. And this sled is actually has a riser on it. And what it does is it allows the sled to, we can actually raise the sled away from the bucket. So the player can actually sit up higher in the bucket on the ice. So this has a little groove in it, and it allows the bucket to actually rise up or lower, and then you tighten it down. So the bucket is actually up off the ice, off the rails. And then obviously we can push it all the way down and it would be right back down to where it was. So it just allows adjustment to raise the bucket. If the player wants to sit up higher, we can tilt it forward, we can tilt it back. So that's the riser, and those are also available through our vendors. Obviously, one of the important things about your equipment is taking care of it. And what we have all our athletes in our program is using a blade cover. So it goes on, protects the blades, and keeps them sharp, because obviously just a nick or something can mess up the blades. So we suggest those. These are your tools out there, your skates, and so we suggest taking care of them, as well as your equipment and your bag, and good hygiene. The buckets, what we suggest, not just a deodorizer, but a bactericide, something that kills the bacteria. Very important. So keep your bucket, you can spray your bucket, spray your equipment. When you get home, you should be taking your equipment out of the bag, letting it air, getting it out in the sun, and using again, a bactericide, not just a deodorizer, but you need to kill the bacteria. That's what's causing the odor in the bag. So taking care of your equipment, very important part as well. The blades, the picks, and your equipment in your bag, and making sure that you're removing that on a regular basis and keeping that clean. Next, we'd like to talk about sticks. And sticks is just like the old stick that we showed you with these sleds. They've progressed. They've come a long way. We started with a wood stick, pretty heavy. We've gotten now into, we still have the wood sticks available, but also gotten into the graphite type sticks. Okay, the one piece. They're a one-piece graphite stick. The shaft, we have shafts, warrior shafts with the blades. We have blades available through usahockey.com, and you can find Easton and Warrior blades on there. We can take a blade, we can go out to a rink, and maybe brothers, sisters, siblings, friends have shafts of sticks that have broke. We're actually able to take those shafts, cut those down, and with the blades that we have available nowadays, use those shafts. So we save ourselves a little bit of money by using the blades. So, and again, Warrior and Easton have those blades, and also we still have the standard wooden blade as well. Also the picks, they need to be sharp. You can sharpen those on a regular basis, and you can tilt these a little bit actually, and give yourself a little bit of a tilt on the ice, so when a player's coming down on the ice, they come at an angle, it'll actually hit the ice flush. So you can actually tilt those blades a little bit towards the angle that the player is coming down on the ice. Picks are very important in sled hockey, and I think we've learned over the years as we've gone along the importance of those. That's really what moves the player. Stick bag, just an example of a stick bag. A lot of our grandmas, aunts, and moms make these, and you can use these and keep your sticks in. We've seen a lot of these around. A lot of the players like to have a stick bag, so that's what that looks like.
When choosing sticks, one of the most important things you want to do is it depends on how high you sit up off the ice and the length of your arms. Now, if you look at when Adam has his arms down, his knuckles are just touching the ice. Now, when he raises his arms up, you see the sticks go right up to about his shoulder. Now, The most important thing with that is that's going to help you get a long, full stride through. If somebody has too small sticks, they're not going to be able to get a proper stride, and they're going to be losing a lot of speed. But if your sticks are too big, it's going to be hard to control your shot and skate at the same time. So now, the big thing that Adam has here is, again, you see that the stick is proper height. When he reaches his arms straight out, his arms are parallel with his shoulder. He doesn't have his arms above or below, so his arms are properly length with his sticks, so he can get a nice, full, long stride right through.
Here's he's showing what they call the skag on the front of the sled, the plastic glide. All that basically is to level the front of the sled to keep it from hitting the ice and to keep the sled balanced. But when your sled is balanced properly, go ahead and sit up, Adam. All your weight should be on your blades, turn sideways, so that the skag doesn't really even hit the ice. It'll glide an inch above the ice or so. And so in order to have the blade balanced so that the skag doesn't hit, your blades will have to be adjusted going from front to rear, depending on the length of your sled and how much, your weight, whether you have legs or no legs or an amp or not. As long as your blades are balanced to the front to the rear, so you want all your weight sitting on the blades and nothing on that skag, so you're sitting on your blades so it's easier to turn, it's easier to move faster, maneuver.
The blades, we get those sharpened at a regular pro shop. Most of them just have 3 bolts that we remove, as you saw on the blade holder. We just unloosen them, take the blades off, and we're here with Chris today. He's going to show us how he sharpens them, and does a great job for us.
Right, these are obviously a little different than the conventional blades that go in the skates. Obviously a little different setup. A little harder to do, but still, nonetheless, it's, if you've got the proper machinery for it and you take the time, it can obviously be done properly. So a lot of stores can't do that, but fortunately here at Front Row Sports, we can. You just put it under the holder like this. It's a little easier, a little lighter with the blade. And this one, we do a flat bottom V, which is a whole different sharpening system. A lot of the teams in the NHL now are instituting it. It's more of a precise sharpening. So just set it up over here. I usually do with these ones because just with the simple blade to make sure I get it nice and level. I just put it on my rubber mat and I just fall through. It's a simple stone to get all the burrs off, bring the edge back up. Just make sure you've got all your edges. And it's just that simple. The other one done. Usually takes about 10 minutes. Sometimes if they're a little bit more beat up, because you know how intense they get on the ice with these, it takes a little bit longer, but the steel still holds the same and it's still a good quality, and I really don't have any problems. So. If I was a parent and I had these blades, the simple thing to do is go to your local pro shop, and I would just ask, first of all, bring the blades in, explain the situation, what they're used for, and ask, first of all, does your machine sharpen these steels? Like a lot of places, it all depends on the holder. Sometimes they may not fit on there, or the machine itself may not accommodate this. With ours, we do accommodate them. It's easy enough, but we're in an area where there's a lot of hockey. It's quite easy to get access to that, but unfortunately, in some of the smaller areas, that may not be possible. So that's the first thing I would ask. If they say yes, then that's great. If they say no, then what I might do is either ask them, is there anywhere in the area that might do it, or do you suggest a place? With us, I know we do around the country, several places don't have the capabilities, so they do mail them to us. We sharpen them and then we just return them to them. So that's also another option. You can look into that, maybe check online, or call around, and that's the easiest thing to do. That's what I would suggest. Traditionally, I think they do like a sharper blade. So we've got different hollows. These ones I usually do around a 3/8, which it's fairly deep, fairly aggressive. It helps too with your turns. With this, with the heavier sled too, it's a little bit better. It's not going to affect you as much as with a player standing on the 2 skates, because there's maybe not as much weight issue, but when you've got a full balance, you want the sharper edges. So that's usually what we seem to do at it, and the players have been fine with it, and they seem to appreciate that depth.
A pusher is an individual who is on skates and wearing other required protective equipment during a sled hockey game and pushes a player who cannot propel a sled themselves. A pusher uses handles which are attached to the back of the sled of the player being pushed. A pusher's responsibility to propel the player who has limited mobility or other disabilities which prevents him or herself from participating in play, i.e. blindness, etc., and cannot propel him or herself. To keep the player's safety in mind at all times and out of harm's way. To provide the player the opportunity to play the sport of sled hockey. Pusher requirements. A pusher must be registered with USA Hockey as a player, coach, or volunteer. A pusher must wear hockey skates, no figure skates, and an HECC approved helmet. A pusher is strongly recommended to wear full hockey equipment. A pusher must wear a jersey, warm-up, or uniform of the player's team they are pushing. A pusher must have adequate skating ability. The referee may remove a pusher if they are not able to skate well enough to keep the players safe. Pushers and coaches are not allowed to sit in the bench area on top of the boards. This is dangerous with the blades exposed to the players on the ice. The pusher will not be allowed to participate in the game and may be removed by the referee if the pusher requirements are not met. A pusher may not pull the push player backwards unless the push player is in harm's way. A pusher may not push the player faster than the average speed of the player on the ice. A pusher may not catch the opposing team puck carrier from behind. A pusher may not use their skates or any other body part to block, deflect, or advance the puck. A pusher may not use themselves to set up a screen in the offensive zone. A pusher may not trap the puck beneath the pushed player's sled and the ice in an attempt to advance the puck. A pusher may not advance the puck with the front part of the sled. A pusher may not dominate or intimidate opposing players. A pusher must keep a minimum of one blade of the push player's sled on the ice at all times. A pusher may not jump for any reason. The pusher's skates must remain on the ice at all times. A pusher may not use a hockey stick to push. A pusher may not coach or communicate with any other players on the ice while pushing. They are simply there to push their player. All pushers and push players are not allowed to play within the area in their defensive zone, with imaginary lines drawn from the defending goal posts to end face-off spots and out to intersect with the blue line. A pusher-push player may not check or be checked. Light body contact is allowed. If there is an infraction of any of the above, a minor penalty shall be assessed to the pusher and the player being pushed. Both must serve the penalty and sit in the penalty box area. If a pusher commits 2 minor penalties in one game, the pusher will no longer be allowed to push in that game for any player. The pushed player will be allowed to continue to play with a different pusher. Pushers, coaches, referees are permitted to help a player get up that cannot get up on their own. In a reasonable amount of time, players should not be left lying on the ice during the game. However, the player or the pusher cannot intentionally or unintentionally affect the game. If an obstruction of the game occurs intentionally, a minor penalty will apply. If an obstruction of the game occurs unintentionally, the referee must stop the play and the ensuing face-off shall take place in the nearest neutral zone face-off spot. Coaches shall not stand on the ice surface while the game is in progress. Coaches shall remain on the player's bench. Only coaches and pushers wearing skates and helmets to assist players are allowed on the ice during the games.
Now what he's going to do here is when you fall down, he's going to want to fall down and he's going to use his arms. He's going to bring them in close like he's going to do a sideways push-up. And he's just going to slowly get himself up so he's right on the verge of getting his blades on the ice. And then he's going to follow through with his arms, do full extension, and try to stabilize himself with his hips and his arms. See, he fell down here. Now what he's going to do is he's going to use his arms and slowly push himself up and stabilize. You want to use, again, it's like a sideways push-up. You want to use your torso and your arms to do a sideways push-up to get up. Slides down. You see he's going to bring his arms in and do a sideways push-up and get himself up. See, the first thing, you want to make sure you get control of your body when you first get up. If you see how he uses both hands and not just one, and he's not using the pick end of the stick in order to help himself get up, a lot of people think you can get better leverage like that, but it's a lot harder for you to get yourself up and stabilize when you're trying to get yourself off the ice. Now what Adam's going to do here is Adam's going to come down and he's going to do a slide stop. He's going to do a hockey stop on a sled. One of the most important things that you're going to see when he goes is he's going to come down and he's going to use his sticks to help swing his momentum with him, and he's also going to use his hips to try to whip through the turn and stick through it. Now when you do it, it's all torso. You want to use your legs to kind of push yourself to the opposite side that you're going, and then just kind of whip through with your hips so you can slide right into your stop. He's going to use his own body's momentum to help him stop here. Now if you watch his pick when he stops, he always jabs in on a little bit. What he's doing there is he's using that to help himself to get momentum on the ice so that he's not just doing it all with his body. He's getting a little more whip with his stick, so it's going to be easier for him to do a slide stop.
Okay, this next man you're going to watch go down the ice. I'm going to show you the proper way to actually pick down the ice. He's holding his sticks on the blades. He's getting a full stride by taking his hands far forward and using a full stride all the way to the back of his sled. Actually, what you're doing is as you're picking, you're actually more or less trying to use your shoulders and your upper body to pull you along, not just your elbows. So he's actually getting a full stride. As he's coming again, here he goes again. As you notice, he's using the sticks, holding them at the tips on the end of the blade. And he's going as far forward, leaning forward as far as he can. And he's pushing, more or less pulling with his shoulders and his upper body, his upper torso to get the speed.
Now what you're going to see when Al's turning here is he's using his torso to help himself turn. But one of the most important things you're going to see when people turn is he's going to be picking with the outside hand to help himself get momentum through his turn. When you don't use the outside hand to turn, you're losing a lot of speed, so you want to make sure that you always push through with it. And you'll also notice when he's pivoting, he's using his inside stick as kind of a pivot wheel when he's turning sometimes. So what he's going to do is he's going to use that to help whip his body through it. And you'll see that it's a lot in the hips, and he's getting his upper body leaned into the turn so that he's not sitting straight up. That's going to help him balance himself when he goes in and out of his turns. And you'll also see when he's turning, sometimes he uses his inside hand on the ice to balance himself so that he won't fall over when he turns too sharp. When you want to take a proper shot, what you got to do is first, you want to get the puck back behind your body a little bit. You want to cup your stick over top so the puck won't roll. You want to have it on the heel and roll it off to the toe. So when you go down to take the shot, first you want to dip your shoulder a little bit and lean in. You're going to want to snap right through your shot again. Fall right through. As a lot of people say, you want to make sure you slide guide and roll your wrist through, and you want to point right at your target when you fall through. You just want to make sure you snap through with your body and keep your shoulder down over the puck. What a lot of people do in this game is when they shoot, they tend to get their shoulder up and back, and what that's going to do is it's going to take away from your accuracy, and it's going to make your shot go higher than you want it to be. So again, you want to get that puck rolled over, shoulder down, it snapped right through it. You want to make sure you follow through with your wrist. Snap right through. All right, now what I'm going to demonstrate is a snapshot. It's pretty similar to the enable body. What you want to do is you want to get the puck a little bit more in front of your body, about even with your hips. Now you're going to get your body back. Same thing with your shoulder. You want to keep your shoulder down over. You want to still cup that puck over, or the stick over the puck, and you just want to snap right through it. You want to make sure what this is going to do is this is going to get you a lot more leverage on the puck, and you're going to get it a lot harder. The problem is it won't be as accurate, so you're going to have to practice it more. But again, you want to get your shoulder down, stick back, and snap right through your shot. I'll show one more time here. Again, puck out here, you want to get that stick cupped over, and you just want to snap right through your shot. So you want to keep it through and fall right through. Whatever, the snapshot can be whatever you're comfortable with. Some people like to get their shoulder up and then really torque it through. Other people like to keep their stick down for more control and snap right through it. I'll show one more time here. So get the puck back. You want to snap right through and follow through with your shot.
All right, this next drill you're going to see, you're going to watch a proper way to pass the puck. Obviously, in regular hockey, you want to pass the puck to where the guy is going to be. So you always want to lead the guy with the puck. You pass the puck to the front of the sled to where the guy's going, not behind him or not right at him. And as you notice, they can use both arms to pass and receive the puck. They're not slapping at the puck, they're passing it. And they're, as you can see, they can receive the pass with both hands and use both hands to pass the puck, which is very good for the game. You're going to pass it in front of him so he catches up to it. If you pass it behind him, obviously the other team's not going to, the other team will pick up the puck. But these guys are trying to show you the proper way of coming down the ice and leading you with the puck. And once again, they use both hands. This is why it's important to be able to develop the strength of both your hands, because you can receive a pass with either hand, and you can pass with either hand. We'll come down the ice one more time. There's a nice pass under the sled. Using both their hands. A little stick handle for you.
This drill is called the suicide drill. Basically, we're going to line guys up on the goal line, going across. You work out, skate forward, and turn at the blue line. Each of these guys will skate out, turn at the blue line, skate out, turn at the blue line, come back all the way to the goal line, and then head back in the other direction all the way to the red line, turn again all the way back down, okay, to the goal line, all the way back down to the far blue line, and then all the way back. Okay, so it's a series of turns and speed. You also have to know that you're going to be making somewhat of a wide turn, so it's not like you're going to be able to turn and come back in the same exact line. Okay, you're going to make a turn out and come back like that. Okay, that's famous by Herb Brooks, known as the suicide drill. Good warm-up drill.
All right, ready? Go.
Our next drill is known as the 5 circles drill. 5 circles. Start everybody off here in the corner. Okay, we're going to come around the circle. Circle number 1, all the way around. Make a full rotation, 360 degrees. Okay, and then head over to the next circle. Again, around. With me, all the way around, 360 degrees. Around again, the outside. And then head to the middle. Okay? The next guy, as soon as the first guy gets through the first circle, the next guy can leave. All right, so once we're up to speed, we'll have 5 guys in 5 different circles. but this guy would continue to proceed along here, okay, around, 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 okay, and then work his way down to this circle, circle number 4 in this case, okay, and again around, all the way around, and around, and end up in the opposite corner. So you see here we start in this corner, we end up all the way over in the opposite corner. We can run this drill down the ice once and then back the ice. This is known as a 5-circle drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This gives help working on edge work, on overall stamina and conditioning. Serves multiple purposes. And it also has many guys moving at the same time. You could also, if you have a lot of guys on the ice, you could start 2 guys all the way around, come over to this circle, and then you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 guys skating at any given time as well.
Okay, go ahead, Evan.
Player number 2, okay, skates into the pass and takes a shot from here. After making the pass, player number 2 leaves, follows the same path across the middle of the ice, and he's going to get a pass from the next guy in line over here, okay, out to here. He's going to attack the net and also take a shot. It's a series back and forth, rotating from one side to the other. So you make a pass and then leave and receive a pass, shot. You can either come back to the same corner, depending on what the coach tells you, or you could go to the opposite corner to get a different feel for the ice. So this is known as the windmill drill warm-up. You have skating incorporated, you have a pass, and you have a shot. For the skaters, it's also good for the goalies as a practice drill and warm-up drill. Out towards the middle of the ice at the blue line, both of them are going to bend in. Okay, there's going to be a pass made. He's going to have had the puck come out here. He's going to make a pass. This guy will continue on this way. This guy will cross, so they're actually going to cross here. And this player is now going to have the puck, and they're going to make a series of passes coming up the middle of the ice on a 2-on-0, and with a shot. Okay, so this is a modified version of the windmill. Puck's in one corner, both guys leave at the same time, they cross here in the middle. You can make a pass once you get out to the blue line, and then they're going to attack 2-on-0, again coming down the ice, passing back and forth, maybe getting 2 or 3 passes, and whoever has the puck in this vicinity will take the shot when they get close enough to the net. The ice, passing the puck back and forth. The defense is going to come out into the middle of the ice and defend. So basically we're going to have a two-on-one going up the ice. And you follow it out and play it out with a shot on the goal. The defenseman obviously is supposed to stay back and also between and force the forwards into making an error of some sort. And at any given time, the goalie always has the shooter. The goalie always has the forward in possession of the puck. So again, by way of review, we have skaters starting off at the goal line. They're going to pass the puck, going up the ice, pass the puck. The defender's going to jump in and turn this into a 1-2, 2-on-1 against the defenseman, again, playing it out down the length of the ice. You can also rotate sides eventually, where you could start from this side and attack up that side of the ice. 2-on-1, full ice.
All right, who's first? So guys, go ahead.
Three-on-0 weave. We have skaters positioned here, lines. Again, we're going to put the goalie down at the end. Okay. The center is going to start with the puck. Okay. This guy's going to skate forward. He will pass the puck to the right wing. After he passes the puck to the right wing, the center will skate behind and follow their pass. Okay, skate behind and follow their pass. Our left wing is going to have been going up the ice. Probably would be about here now. When the right wing receives the pass, in turn, they're going to make the pass over to the left wing. Naturally, the right wing is then going to cut across the ice and follow their pass and get over next to the left wing, or at least where the left wing was. The left wing is going to pass the puck across the ice to the player, the center, who is now taking the right wing position. And again, as you move up the ice, the passes go across the ice. You're going to make the pass and move to the spot where the person was that you just passed to. Okay, so this is known as a 3-on-0, 1, 2, 3, 3-on-0 weave, meaning you make your pass and follow behind your pass, go to the spot where the pass just arrived, and take that new lane going up the ice. Probably get in 3 or 4 passes going up the ice. Out drill, a lot of moving parts here. Very good drill for an entire team to practice. We're going to put 3 forwards in these positions. We're going to put a defenseman back into the defensive zone. It's the defenseman's job to retrieve the puck. So the defenseman will skate back and retrieve the puck. Each of our forwards will come down to certain areas, certain spots, and we might say post up. It's a basketball term, but they would position themselves to be ready to break out. So the D would have come back to here, picked up the puck, okay, and then the D turns and makes an outlet pass to the forward. In this case, the right wing. So the D makes a pass, and then the 3 forwards who are in these positions then break up the ice together, 3-on-0. The D would also hurry up and get behind these forwards going down the ice and trail those 3 forwards going down the ice. The play would culminate with a shot on the goalie on the 3-on-0. So this is a breakout. By way of review, again, we have the center, left wing, right wing. The defenseman, coach dumps the puck into either corner. The defense retrieves the puck and breaks the 3 forwards out so that they can then all head in this direction up the ice as a unit. And the defenseman cannot just stand there or do nothing. The defenseman has to hurry up and get behind the 3 forwards breaking up the ice. So it actually turns into a 4-on-0 with, when we get to this point, we'll have forward, 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 and we would have the D trailing up the ice. And again, it finishes with a shot on the goal. Breakout.
Go one more time. Go, go, go. You see what they're doing? Guys, the D. Yeah, you know what they're doing? You know how to go breakout? Just curl it and tap down. He's just getting out. Those guys are curling down because they're breaking out, okay?
One's over on this side as well. And we're just going to rotate through. This player will shoot left-handed, take a left-handed shot. Next player, take a left-handed shot. Next player, take a left-handed shot. Next player, take a left-handed shot. And then we can reverse and go from the other side. This player will take a right-handed shot. This player will take a right-handed shot. This player will take a right-handed shot. And this player will also take a right-handed shot. Okay. If you only have 2 pucks per man, that's fine. You can have somebody retrieve the pucks, set this back up again. Or if you have more pucks, then you can just keep rotating across. So it would be a semicircle, working on both hands, not just the dominant hand. Left shot, left shot, left shot, left shot, left shot. Okay. Then right shot, right shot, right shot, right shot, right shot, right shot, right shot. Okay, and then you work back again. You can have this going at both ends, obviously, if you have 2 goalies. Even if you don't have 2 goalies, it's probably better to get more guys shooting and shoot into an empty net, or there's different nets and blocking devices that you can put in the goal for practice. Semicircle shooting drill. You can work on wrist shots, by the way, wrist shots, snap shots, backhand shots, any number of different shots that you can incorporate into this, and all these different shots should be practiced.
Right hand and left hand.
If you watch what I do here in a second here, you'll see how I can go using the post from side to side with ease with the use of the plastic blade here. Slide real easy, just kind of slide. Help move the post to post. Get set. Come off. The other thing too for a goaltender is very important is the pick on the glove. You can take this if any played against sports or anything like that, and take an old track shoe. So what you do is you cut an old track shoe, and you can measure, you can buy any spikes at any sporting goods stores, and you take some shoe glue, which can be found at any shoe store, Walmart, Target, anything like that. It takes about 12 hours to put on. You just slap it on and put it on there, and it gives you this movement here, and you can move from side to side. You also have your heel pick on your blade here, which can help you move quick too. You turn, you get yourself moving. So that would be the advantage of those right there. Probably an important thing too is probably always wear neck guard. See, most guys are going to get hit in the face and protect your neck. There are different types of blades you can use depending on what you use. There's called a cleaver stick, which is basically, Brad, let me see your stick for a second. It's a normal bladed stick. And what some of the goaltenders they have out there, it looks like a meat cleaver. It's a big wood blade that's attached to the end of this, so they'll just use the blade instead of having a normal goaltender stick. With the advantage is that is with the long-legged sled, you get more push when you're down low. With that, it's easier to handle the puck a little bit too as well. Was the other option is what they use. But a lot of goaltenders will just use a normal stick like that with the picks on both ends. But the key is definitely on the glove, using the track spike. It's the best way to do it. Well, goaltender's probably one of the hardest positions in this game. Hockey's hockey, but you have to cover the same amount as net as a stand-up guy. And you're covering more, you're sitting down, you're smaller, so there's a lot more area you have to be able to cover. So being from side to side, your lateral movement is key to being goaltender this game, and being able to get down and get up again as fast as possible is the other key probably to playing net. Just flop down and being able to pop down, use your glove, pop up, pop up, pop up. Again, the other thing is moving around. As fast as possible. You can slide, get down, pop up. And up again.
To do when you hit, this is called a T-bone. When you come in to hit, you can't use the front of your sled to come in and hit your opponent. What you're supposed to do, instead of using the front, is you're supposed to turn upside your opponent and use your hip to check. As you'll see again, Mason's gonna skate down and Al's gonna hit with the front of his sled. This is something you're absolutely not supposed to do. This can cause a lot of injuries. It's very dangerous. Now what we're gonna show here is a proper check. What he's gonna do is Al's gonna come in and he's gonna drop his shoulder into the hit. The one thing that you can't do is you can't bring your hands up into your check. So when you come in, you want to bring your arms into your body. You want to tuck them in, get up beside your opponent, and you want to go in and you want to lean in with your shoulder and hit him. You see how Al used his body and his momentum to turn himself in and hit with his shoulder into either Mason's shoulder or his chest.
During game situations, your teams will be lined up on both sides of the red line. One team on one side between the blue line and the red line. The other team on the other side between the other blue line and the red line. The blue line should be completely visible so that offsides can be called and seen clearly. If the puck comes into the bench area where the players are sitting, the proper way that the players should handle that is to shoot the puck straight out in front of them. So they shoot the puck straight out in front of them. Show a puck coming in, straight out in front of them, so that the play can continue.
And my name is John Opfer. I'm the owner and director of a company called Proformance Sports Training. Also was the head strength coach for our USA Paralympic sled hockey team. Gold medalist, might I add. Anyway, we're here this afternoon or this morning to help you sled hockey players out there with a little bit of shoulder mobility. When we brought the athletes in over a year ago, we found a lot of them had imbalances in their shoulders, imbalances in their neckline, imbalances in their spinal column, all based on different issues that they had to overcome just to play the sport. So what we thought that we'd do this morning is give you guys out there a couple exercises to do a couple things. One, we want to open up your shoulder girdle. We want to take tension off your spine, And as a result of doing those two things, you're going to get more elasticity in your upper torso to be faster on the ice. Here we're here with Adam Page, obviously a member of our USA sled hockey team, and I'm going to have Adam go through just a couple simple drills that you guys at home can do in your living room to help you out with what we call shoulder mobility. So Adam, just lay on your back first. Just lay on your back first. Okay, so open up your arms. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here with Adam is we're going to have him do what's called a shoulder-to-shoulder rotation. So he's going to take his left arm and he's going to reach and put it on his right arm, and as you can see, he's going to rotate his hips. And he's going to open back up, and we're going to leave this shoulder down. So the shoulder that we're isolating is here, the shoulder that we're rotating is this side. What we find in the game of sled hockey is that rotational stability is huge, and so that's all we're doing. We're having him shut down one half of his body, and whether he's, whether an athlete has MS or we have some sort of, amputee or paraplegic athlete, depending on where that starts, this is a great drill to tie whatever sensory mechanisms we have through that spinal column together to create rotation. And freeze, go to the other side. So in a typical workout day, we would do 10 reps to the right, 10 reps to the left. And shut down. Notice that whatever's going on in his shoulder, as he rotates, the rest of his core comes with him. And shut it down. Excellent. Okay, this next drill that we're going to show you guys is another shoulder rehab drill that we typically work with. We're going to have the athlete lay on his stomach first. We're going to go through what's called Y's, T's, and W's. Now, Y's, T's, and W's are going to take the three major aspects of the shoulder compartment: the posterior side, the rear delt, the anterior side, the front delt, and our vertical component within the AC joint, and tie those three mechanisms together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get his forehead down. We're going to lift his arms up, elbows together, and hold. So those arms are up off the floor, so we're stretching out this rib cage. We want to make sure that we have bilateral symmetry. Probably the biggest issue with most Paralympic athletes, and that there is a major imbalance based on what's going on down here or wherever our dysfunction is and how we have to move about on a daily basis. Those issues all affect our traps, our rhomboids, and our subscap. Now he's going to go W, so he's going to row, track those shoulder blades. So now we're pulling these out even. A lot of athletes you'll see will come in and they'll have one trap that's caught in contraction and one trap that's released. And this ultimately doesn't allow us to have an even stride on the ice. We want those muscles to slow down and relax. So we're here, and then our T drill. So the thumbs rotate. So there's 3 different exercises. This is something that we would do 30 reps with. We would cycle through this 10 times with all 3 exercises. So it is thumbs up, and our rows, and our T's. Rotation this whole time. His forehead's on the floor, and you can see Adam's nicely developed his subscap, his rhomboids evenly, and his delts evenly, and dramatically has improved his stride and explosive ability off the ice. Excellent. Turn it over. Lay on this. Okay, gang, anywhere you're at, there's a Dick's in every major town across the country. All this is called is a myofascia tube. These are just some hand weights. So you could use soup cans. You could use, heck, you could tie a couple forks or spoons together. If you happen to have free weights laying around, we only recommend about 2 to 3 pounds of weight in a hand when you do this next drill. But this myofascia tube is great for 2 reasons. One, it gives an athlete, especially a Paralympic athlete, an opportunity to really stretch out and massage out the imbalances along your spinal column. And 2, having it be an oval, it gives us a great opportunity to use as a tool to maximize and associate the feeling of being on a sled on the ice. Okay, so I'm going to have the athlete lay down on it. Adam here has got to create his own stability, so immediately there's a core stability component in this drill. All right? Now, if you were an amputee at home and you have no way to create stability, you would just have somebody hold your knees and or your hips down as you're doing this exercise. In Adam's case, he's able to create a little bit of stability with his ankles, and that's all he needs. So here's all we're gonna do. We're gonna press, all right? And this is taking that same component of Y's, T's, and W's on our stomach. Now we're laying on our back and working on it from an opposite side. So we're just gonna go Y's and Y's. This is a single arm drill. Right? You'll notice that because of crutches or dysfunction in our hips or being in a wheelchair, both arms, all right, there's a huge imbalance between a dominant and less dominant arm with a Paralympic athlete. So what we want to do, we want to maximize the stride and power opportunity out of both arms and the shooting and passing ability. So we're working on single arms here, and we want to keep that range of motion as smooth as possible. Again, remember, he's on that oval, and that oval, Adam's doing a phenomenal job of making this drill look pretty easy, but in reality, this is pretty tough. So this is something you could start on the floor with. We're just taking it up a notch and making it a little bit more sport specific. We're adding the oval, and it's giving that dynamic stability component. And then he's gonna go to his T drill. So he's up, back up, lift him up. So you're gonna rotate. Thumbs rotate out so we can hit the heads of the rear delts and together. And rotate out, hold, and together. Rotate out and hold, and together. So this is something we would alternate through. So it's our Y, single leg, single arm Y. And our T drill with rotation. And shut it down. Gang, for any questions, in all reality, as a strength coach of the Paralympic team, I think we're the ones that are the most fortunate. To have the opportunity to work with these guys and be a part of this sport is truly an honor, and it's a blessing to be on the cutting edge, the front side of really development for this sport. Realize one thing at home, that this is a sport that not many people can play. So instead of feeling sorry about yourself or worrying about your situations at home or how you got in your current situation, you have to look at this sport as an opportunity. And if you own up to the opportunity and realize that there's a blessing in front of you to try to challenge and maximize your efforts to be the best sled hockey possible, these are things that you need to be doing on a daily basis behind the scenes if you want to be great. So all kidding aside, thank you for the opportunity to work with you guys. You guys can reach us at proformancesportstraining.com. Again, my name's John Opfer. If you have any questions or concerns, once this is aired or in your hands, don't hesitate to try to reach us. We'll be glad to give you some pointers and lead you on your way to some success. Thanks and God bless.
In case you have any other questions that maybe the tape doesn't answer, you can go to usahockey.com, go under players, and you'll find the disabled section and contacts for everyone involved in the sport of sled hockey. In closing, we'd just like to say thanks. Let us know if there's anything else we can do to help, and enjoy the game.
If you have some type of disability, you think that hockey's not for you, think again, because there's a spot for you. I guarantee it. If you want to play hockey, there's a place that we will find for you to be able to play.